Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. Enjoy! So we need to first of all understand what a cube number is. So a cube number is the answer to when you get three integers or whole numbers and we multiply them by themselves three times. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, 4 times 4 times 4 is 64, and 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So 1, 8, 27, 64, 125 are all cube numbers, and it goes on forever. And this question's asked us to find all the odd, or an odd, cube number that is smaller than 100. So it has to be odd, so that gets rid of the 8 and the 64. And it has to be smaller than 100, so that gets rid of the 125. So I can either write down 1 would be a fine answer, or 27. I'm going to go for 1. Multiples are times tables, so the multiples of 2 are the times table of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc, etc. So the only number in this list that is in the 2 times table is the 6. If there were 39 people on the bus and 4 people got off the bus, that would leave 35 people remaining on the bus. So the fraction of people staying on the bus is 35 out of the 39 people on the bus. So our answer is, as a fraction, 35 over 39. And we can't cancel that any further. To convert between meters and centimeters, we times by 100. So we do 12.31 times by 100, which would be 1,231 centimeters. If I split this shape into 2 sets of 6 blocks, when we're asked to shade in 3/6, for each one of those, or each set of blocks, I'm going to shade in 3 of the 6. So that's 3 for the first set, and this is 3 for the second set. And that's our answer. Now you might notice that 3 over 6 is the same as a half, because we can divide on 1 by 3, and so all I need to do is shade in a half. Or you might convert 3 over 6 into 6 over 12, and there's 12 squares altogether, so it's 6 of the 12 squares. There's lots of ways of doing this question. So we can draw out our place value grid to help us out with this question. We've got thousands, hundreds, tens and units. So we'll need another one there. So thousands go here, hundreds here, tens here, and then units here. So this says 2,000, so a 2 will go in the thousands column. 30, so that'll be a 3 there, and 2. So we need to fill in a 0 here to keep that 2 as 2,000, otherwise that would collapse and it'd become 232. So the answer is 2032. Let's rewrite this expression, but with a time sign in, so v times w squared. Now w squared just means times by itself, so we can rewrite that as v times w times w. Okay, so we know v is minus 10, so minus 10. And we know w is minus 4, so it's times minus 4 times minus 4. Okay, so when you multiply, it doesn't matter which order we do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do these ones first, and I'm going to ignore that times minus 4 at the end. So minus 10 times minus 4, that's a minus times a minus, which is a positive, 10 times 4, which is 40, times minus 4. Now we're going to do 40 times minus 4, so it's a positive times a negative, so that's going to be a negative. And 40 times 4, well, 4 times 4 is 16, so 40 times 4 is 160. So it's going to be minus 160. The first piece of information I'm going to focus on is the fact Denver gets 8/19. Denver gets 8/19. That means that Engel and Fido together must get 11/19 because they have to add up to 1. So we're only looking at 11/19. I'm going to focus on the ratio next of Engel to Fido. So it's 9/5. And let's have a look and see, well, first of all, how many parts there are all together. So 9 plus 5, which is 14 parts. So there are 14 parts in total, and the share that they get is 11/19. So what I'm going to do is to find out what fraction one of those parts is worth by dividing 11/19 by 14. So each part is worth, and I'm just going to keep this into my calculator, 0.041 blah blah blah. And we're asked to find Fido's share. Well, Fido has 5 parts. So Fido has 5 parts, each of them worth 0.041 blah blah blah. I've kept it in my calculator to keep the accuracy. And when I do that, I get 0.206 blah blah blah. Now we're asked to work it out as a percent, so I'm just going to times that by 100. So we have 20.676 blah 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 percent, and it wants it rounded to the nearest percent, so that would be 20%. Or actually, it would be 21% because this would round it up, so 21%. For each of these options, try and construct in your head the triangles that would be made from these lengths. And I'm going to give an example for question D, or for option D. And I'm going to construct my triangle just with sticks. So we're going to start off with our first stick, which is 19 centimeters. Then we're going to do another stick, which is going to be 37 centimeters. And we've got one last stick, which is 61 centimeters. Now, looking at the first 2 sticks, the actual combined distance of them, so when we add them together, so be 19 centimeters plus 37 centimeters, is 56 centimeters. So that's the combined width of them. And you can see that that actually wouldn't be able to create a triangle if the third stick is 61 centimeters. So the side here could combine with this side. So we could move this whole stick here onto this side here, but we can't actually make a triangle with it because the 2 lengths that we've got won't ever reach the end bit here. They just won't ever reach that bit to be able to create the triangle. And I'm just going to put that back. So our answer is option D. So what we can do here is we can do 3 divided by 7 to find out what 3 is a percentage of 7, find out what that is as a decimal, which would be 0.428 blah blah blah. And then to convert a decimal into a percentage, we times by 100, so we can get that 0.428 blah blah blah, and we're going to times it by 100, and that will be 42.857, and it wants it to the nearest percent, so that's going to round to 43%. So adjacent angles in a parallelogram add up to 180, and the reason for that is that we've got a set of parallel lines here, and both of these angles are within that set of parallel sides, so they're actually co-interior, interior, or allied angles, whichever you choose to call them, and so we know that they're going to add up to 180. So we're going to do 180, take away the 61 we already have there, which is 119. So our answer is 119 degrees. To answer this question, we basically need to find the lowest common multiple of the 10 minutes here and the 15 minutes here. So we're going to start off just by doing the 10 and 15 times table. So it'd be 10, 20, 30, and 15 times table with 15 and 30. So the lowest common multiple is 30. So after half an hour, these buses will sync up. They'll both leave at the same time. And all buses start service at 9 o'clock. So it will be half an hour after 9 o'clock, which will be 9:30. I'm going to start by just labelling the missing angles on each of the triangles. So we've got a missing angle here, which is 40, because we're going to take away 105 and 35 from 180. And we've got a missing angle here, which is 35 degrees. Again, taking away 105 and 40 from 180. So the tempting answer is to say that G is 2 meters because they're both at the bottom of the shape. But have a look at where 2 meters is and have a look at where G is. G is between 35 degrees and 105 degrees. It's the length between those two angles. Well, the 2 meters is between the 105 degrees, but the 2 meters is between the 40 degrees and the 105 degrees. So if we look at this left-hand triangle and see where the 35 degrees is, it's up here. So actually the corresponding lengths are this one and this one. And because they're congruent triangles, we know that the lengths are going to be the same. If I start by drawing a number line, and we're going to put the 110 in the middle. Now I'm going to label the next one down and the next one up. It says to the nearest 10. So the next one down would be 100, and the next one up would be 120. Now we're interested in the cutoff, and the cutoff point is between the two numbers. Okay, so that's the cutoff point. If it goes above that cutoff point, it would have rounded to the next number up. So if the number was here, it would round to 120. If the number is on the cutoff point, which we can see is going to be 115, then we know it would round up. So we need to find the biggest number in this part here. So this part here, and it includes this line actually, so it includes this line. So all the numbers that would have rounded to 110 would have been 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, which would be here. But if it was 115, it would have rounded to 120. So 114 is the biggest number it could have been before rounding to 120. And we know it didn't round to 120 because in the question it says it's 110 to the nearest 10. So our answer is 114. So I'm going to start just by writing out the equation. And I can put my lines in. Okay, we're asked to make x the subject, so we're going to first of all add 10 to both sides. In fact, I'm just going to move all this over a little bit so I've got a bit more space. Okay, so we're left with m plus 10 on the left hand side, and we've got 1/7 x on the right hand side. Now to get rid of the 1/7, what I can do is just times both sides by 7. So 7 brackets m plus 10 equals x. So x therefore would equal 7 brackets m plus 10, but it says to expand your answer fully. So we're just going to expand the brackets, 7m plus 70. So this question says that Adrian, Ben and Charlie have some sweets, and the ratio of Adrian to Ben to Charlie is 9:6:13. But it also says that Charlie got 56 more sweets than Adrian. So there's 56 more sweets. Well, looking at the actual parts of the ratio, there are 4 more parts. So plus 4 parts, which represent plus 56 sweets. So the 4 extra parts are worth 56 sweets. So 4 parts are worth 56 sweets. So 1 part would be 56 divided by 4, which is 14 suites. So all we need to do now is work out how many parts there are. Well, there are 9 plus 6 plus 13 parts, which is 28. And each part is worth 14 suites. So the total number of suites will be 28 times 14. So 28 times 14 is 392. We can't work out what x is straight away, but we can find this value here. And we know with Pythagoras we can find a third length if we've got other two in a right angled triangle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And a and b were labelled. C is always opposite the right angle. So it'd be 49 squared plus b squared equals 68 squared. And 49 squared is 2,401. And 68 squared is 4,624. So we are solving here, so let's get our lines down. And we're going to start by subtracting the 2,401 from both sides. So we've got b squared equals 2,223. Then we're going to square root both sides, and we've got b equal to 47.148, blah blah blah. Okay, we're now looking at the second diagram, and this time we're going to have a, we've got our b, and we're going to call x the c. So it'd be a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but this time a is 39. B we are given as 47.148, we've just worked that out, and we're looking for c. In fact, we can call it x now. Okay, so we need to square that. So we do 39 squared plus 47.148 squared, and that will be 3,744 equal to x squared. And we'll just get our lines in because we need to square root both sides, and we get 61.188 blah 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 is equal to x. It says it wants its two decimal places, so that will be 61.19. So the first thing we need to do is work out the mean for the data in the table. So to start off doing that, we're going to work out the midpoint of each group. So we've got 80 to 85, and to find the midpoint you add the 80 and the 85 together, then you divide by 2. So this will be 82.5, then 87.5, then 92.5, then 97.5, and then finally 100 plus 105 divided by 2 is 102.5. Next we need to find the ft, which is just the frequency times the duration of calls. Now in this first group we're not timesing it by 80 to 85 or anything like that, we're timesing it by the midpoint, so our midpoint effectively becomes the t. So we're going to do 15 times that, which will be 1237.5, and we're just going to keep going and multiplying each of these together. And then finally 2050. Right, next we need to add up the frequencies and add up the FTs. So we're going to have the sum of the frequencies. So I'm just adding all this column up, and that will be 80. And we have sum of the FT, and so we're going to just add this column up here, and so that would be 7,450. So what this column represents is all the numbers added up together. This column represents how many numbers we have. So to find the mean, it's all of the numbers added together which will be 7,450, over the amount of numbers we have, which is 80. So when you do that, we get 93.125. Now this question is about the improvement that we've made, or that the manager has made, the call centre's made. So we're looking at subtracting the 93.125 away from the last week, which was 105. So we're looking for improvement. And we're going to do 105, take away the 93.125. And that's going to be 11.875. Now it does ask for 2 decimal places, so that will be 11.88. Okay, so we're going to start by writing this out a little bit bigger, give us a bit more space. So it's minus 6x is less than 60. And we're going to do our tram lines down. And we're going to start by dividing both sides by minus 6. Because that's what this is doing, it's timesing the x by minus 6. So we're going to divide both sides by minus 6. So that gets rid of the minus 6 on the left hand side. And it's going to be 60 divided by minus 6, which will be minus 10. Now we've got to be really careful here, because whenever you times or divide both sides by a negative, you must switch the inequality. So instead of pointing to the left, it's now going to point to the right. So our answer is x is greater than minus 10. So angles on a point add up to 360, and we are given the values of the angles, but in terms of r. So we know that r plus 9r plus 20 will equal 360. So we've got an equation here we can solve. So first of all, let's add the r's together, and so that will be 10r plus 20 equals 360. Then we're going to subtract the 20 from both sides. So we have 10r equals 340. And then we're going to divide by 10 both sides. So we have r equals 34. So our answer is 34. So we're given 21 to 4 is the ratio. And we're just going to have our lines in, because what we need to do is make the left hand side be 1. Okay? And to do that, for 21 I need to divide it by itself, divide it by 21, and we're going to do the same to the right hand side. So 21 divided by 21 is 1, perfect, that's what we wanted. 4 divided by 21 is 0.190 blah blah blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it's going to be 1 to 0.19. So the first thing we're going to do is work out the area of the trapezium. And the formula for that is half brackets a plus b times h. Now a and b have to be the parallel sides. So here we've got the 2 parallel sides here, which just pick a different colour, here and here. So that is a and b. And then the h is the perpendicular distance between them. So perpendicular means it hits it at right angles, so that's what we've got here. So the area would be half times a, which is 28, plus b, which is 14, times the height, which is 14. And so that would be 294. Next we'll do the circle. Now it doesn't look like we've got anything for the circle, but actually the height here is actually the height of the circle as well. So the height of the circle is the same as the diameter. So the diameter of the circle is 14, therefore the radius would be half of that, which is 7, and the area of the circle is pi times the radius squared. So it would be pi times 7 squared, which will be 153.938 blah blah blah. Now I'll keep that in my calculator, because next thing we'll do is the shaded area part, and it says we want to work out the area of the shaded region. So the area will be the total area, which will be the trapezium, take away the area that we don't want, which is this bit here, which will be the circle. So the trapezium's 294, the circle's 153.93, blah blah blah. And when you do that, you get 140.061, blah blah blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it would be 140.06. So when you read this question, the question's basically asking you to find the bearing of O from B. So the lifeboat is at B, so I'm going to draw a north line here. And to find a bearing, you start from the north line and you keep going clockwise. So we're going to look for this angle here. Now, this angle, which is given to us in the question, and this angle here, which I'm just going to call x, are going to be equal. So x is going to equal 135 degrees. And the reason for that is we've basically got, and I'm just going to draw or extend the north line down, because we've basically got we have a set of parallel lines here, and we have a set of z angles, which we know is alternate angles. So the reason for that is it's alternate angles. And always show the reasons to the examiner. Okay, and so to find out what the bearing is, so the bearing of O from B, it's just going to be 360 take away 135, and the reason for that is angles on a point. We've run out of space. Okay, so we're going to do 360 take away 135, which is 225, and so our answer is 225. So to find the gradient, we need the formula or the equation in the form y equals mx plus c, and the m there will give us what the gradient is. So we're just going to be rearranging this equation. And so I'll get my lines in. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the x's from the left hand side, and we can do that by adding 6x both sides. So we've got 6y equals, and I'm going to put the 6x first just to match the y equals mx plus c. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is get rid of this 6 because we just want a y there. So we're going to divide by 6 both sides. So we've got y equals 1x plus 36. Now we shouldn't really write 1, but because we're looking for m, we're looking for the number before x, I've kind of left it in there to show that the gradient will be 1. The formula for an exterior angle for a regular polygon is 360 divided by the amount of sides. Now here we're given the fact that the exterior angle is 30 and we're looking for n, so we just need to rearrange the equation. We can times both sides by n, and then divide both sides by 30. And so we've got n equals 360 divided by 30. And when you do 360 divided by 30, we get the answer of 12. So it's a 12-sided shape. So when we're asked to find the position, we're basically finding out what n is. And we're told that the sequence has a 39 in it, and we're finding the position of 39. So we're going to equal the nth term to the 39 and solve it. So we're going to put in our solving lines. And the first thing we're going to do is take away 15 from both sides because we want n on its own. So we get 6n equals 39 take away 15, which is 24. Then we're going to divide 6 both sides. And so we get n equals 4. So 39 is the 4th term in the sequence. And you could write it out you could put n equals 1, n equals 2, n equals 3, just keep going till you get to 39, or we can do the method we've just done, which is solving it. Whenever we do these kind of questions, it's always best to convert the pattern into numbers. So we're just going to count the dots. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 in the first one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So our sequence is going 9, 13, 17. And we're going to see what it's going up in. So we're adding 4 each time. And that means our sequence will involve 4n. And then what we do is we go backwards 1 to find the 0th term. So we're going to take away 1. So 9 take away 1 is 5. So the 0th term is 5. And the 0th term just tells us what to add on to the 4n. So 4n plus 5 will be our answer. So we're asked to find the value of n where both sequences have the same term. So I'm going to start off by equaling both nth terms to each other. And then we can find the value of n, which gives the same term. So I draw my lines down. And I'm going to start off by getting rid of the n's from both sides. So we look to see which is the smaller amount. So we've got 12n and we've got 6n. So the smaller amount is the 6n. So we're going to take away 6n both sides. And so that would be 6n plus 19. And we've got rid of the 6n, so just 79. Next thing we're going to do is get rid of the 19. So take away 19 both sides. And so we've got 6n equals 79, take away 19, which is 60. And finally, we're just going to divide the 6. And so that would be n equals 10. So the value of n is 10. Now we can just test this, because if you do 6 times 10, which is 60, 60 plus 79, which would be 139. And then if we do the same for the top one, 12 times 10, which is 120, plus 19, which is 139. So they both have the same term when n is 10. There's an awful lot going on in this question. Whenever there's an awful lot going on, it's always best to draw a diagram. So we're going to start off at Chelton, which is a C. Then we go to Bolko, that's where we're going. And we go through Devley on the way. So we'll do D there. Distance from Chelton to Devley is 34 miles. Distance from Devley to Bovlo is 16 miles. So I'm just reading through the question, adding it to my diagram. David leaves Chelton at 9 o'clock. He drives from Chelton to Devley an average speed of 68 miles per hour. And what speed does David travel between Devley and Bolko to arrive at 9:45? So the whole duration of this, the whole thing needs to be 45 minutes or 0.75 hours. And the entire distance is 34 plus 16, so that would be 50 miles. Okay, now having a look at this, we need to find out what time David was at Devley. So we're going to use our speed, distance, time triangle. So speed equals distance over time. And we're covering up the time, because that's the one we want. So it's going to be time equals distance, which is 34, over speed, which is 68. So we're going to do 34 divided by 68, which is 0.5. So it would be 0.5 hours. So that would be half an hour. So we will be at Devley at 9:30. So that means we've got 15 minutes left. Okay, so we've got 15 minutes to travel the 16 miles. So this time we're looking for the speed. Okay, so it would be speed equals the distance, which is 16 miles, over time, which is 15 minutes, but we need that in hours, so that'd be 0.25 hours. And so what we can do here is times top 1 by 4 to get rid of the fraction. So it becomes 64 over 1, or just 64 miles per hour. So our answer is 64 miles per hour. To find the gradient of a line, we need to find two coordinates that we know. So I've got this coordinate here and this coordinate here. Now I don't really know what this coordinate is, that's why I've not picked one. You need to pick coordinates you know. And what we do is we just draw a right angled triangle between them. Try and get this nice, there we are. And the gradient, which we call m, is the change in y. How much has y changed over the change in x? So the change in y is going to be 4, because it's gone up 4, and the change in x is 3, because it's gone to the right 3. So our answer will be 4 over 3. So we need to first of all work out what the length of the side of the square is. And to do that, what we do is we get the 44v to the power 4 w to the power 5, and we just divide it by 4. And to do that, all we need to do is just divide the coefficient by 4. So it'd be 11v to the power 4 w to the power 5. Some people will try and do something with the v to the power 4 to w to the power 5, but if you think about it, if I just draw out my square, if it's 11v to the power 4 w to the power 5 all the way around, when you add, you don't add the v to the power 4, w to the power 5. It's just going to be 11 lots, another 11 lot, another lot of 11, and another lot of 11. So it's 44 v to the power 4, w to the power 5 in total. And to work out what the area is, we obviously are going to square that. So we're going to do 11 v to the power 4, w to the power 5, and we're going to just times it by itself, which is what squaring means. Okay, so we're going to times the 11s together, so that's going to be 121. Going to times the v to the power 4s together, and remember with indices, if you times two powers of the same base, and they're both v, then we just add the powers together, so that'd be 8. And we're going to add the w to the power 5s together, so that makes 10. So it's 121 v to the power of 8, w to the power of 10. So the way this formula works is we have m, which is the final amount. The 2000 here is our initial amount. The decimal in here is our multiplier, and the power here is the amount of years. So the way multipliers work is they are the percentage divided by 100. So if we go the other way and times it by 100 to make it back into a percentage, it will be 102.9%. Now it says, what is the interest rate of the bank? Well, the interest rate is always going to be 100%. Well, this 102.9% is 100% plus the interest rate, which will equal the 102.9%. So the interest rate is going to be the 2.9%. You always start off with 100%. So if I put £5 into my bank, I've got 100% of that £5, and then the interest rate is on top of that 100%. So our answer here will be 2.9%. With these questions, it's normally easier to view these as two separate triangles. So we've got a small triangle here with 19 and 47. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this out. And we've got a bigger triangle here. And we've got, well, we've got a bit of, we don't really know what any of the sides are just yet, but we can work them out. Okay, now we know that both of these triangles are similar, and the reason is they share an angle and the lengths at the bottom are parallel, so they will be similar, which means one's an enlargement of the other. And we are given some information in the question that the ratio of BC to DE is 1 to 6. So BC is this length here, and DE is this length here. So we're actually given the scale factor because we know that 1 times 6 is 6. So we know the scale factor is 6, and it's asking us to find length AD. And so the corresponding length to AD, which is this one here. So all we need to do is get that 47, times it by the scale factor, so times it by 6 to get to our value. So it's 282. We don't have to for this question, but it might be helpful to draw a Venn diagram for this. And we've got green and brown leaves. So we'll have green on the left and brown on the right. So green and brown. And we're told that there are 19 green and 15 brown and 6 that were not green and brown. So the only number we can put in is the 6 on the outside of the Venn diagram. We're told that 19 are green, but we don't know which, either they're in here or a bit of both. So what we can do is we can label the center X, and we can say that there are 19 take away X just green, because they could have been both green and brown. And for the brown we can do the same, so it'd be 15 minus X. And for the next step, we know that all of them together add up to 32, because it says in the question. So we're going to add all of these, the 19 minus X, the 15 minus X, and the 6 together, and we know that equals 32. And let's get our solving lines in. So we've got minus X and minus X, that will be a minus X. And we've got 19 plus 15 plus 6, which will be 40, equals 32. We're going to take away the 40 both sides. And we can just times by minus 1 both sides to make them both positive. So now we know X is 8, we can start filling in the Venn diagram. So it's 19 take away 8, which will be 11. X is 8, so we know that that's 8, and 15 take away 8, which is 7. So find the amount that were green and brown. We know it's going to be 8. There's a lot going on with this question, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in all of the time signs that we don't normally show. So we've got 10 times 12x times y to the power 4 times 13 times x to the power 4 times y to the power 4. And I'm going to reorder these to put the numbers together, first of all. And with multiplying, it doesn't matter which way around you do it, so I'm not changing anything. I'm going to put the x's together. And I'm going to put the y's together. So, first thing to do is 9 times 13, which is just 117. Then we've got x to the power of 12 times x to the power of 4. Now we know when we multiply two powers of the same base, and the base is x on both of those, we just add the powers. So it's 12 plus 4, which is 16. Be x to the power of 16, and then y to the power of 4 times y to the power of 4, we just add them together, so it's y to the power of 8. With this question, you've just got to know what the different functions look like. So with C and D, we've got quadratic functions. One's a positive quadratic, which is a U shape. One's a negative quadratic, which is a kind of upside down U shape or an N shape. And here we don't have that, so we can get rid of those in our thoughts straight away. A is a positive cubic, which goes up, then down, then up again. And B is a negative cubic, which goes down, up, and then down again. So this one here goes up, down, up again. That's going to be a positive cubic. So our answer is A. First thing we notice with the simultaneous equations is the coefficient of the x and the coefficients of the y are different, so we need to make them the same. I'm going to focus on the y's, I always do, but you could do this with the x's. So we've got a 3 and a 5, so the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5 is 15, so we need to make them both to 15. So we're going to start off with the 3x plus 3y equals to 15, and get our lines in, because what we're going to do is we're going to times everything by 5 to make that second one 15. So we are going to have 15x plus 15y, and then 15 times 5, which is 75. Going to do the same with the second equation, so 4x plus 5y equals 23. Get our lines in. This time we're going to times everything by 3. So we've got 12x plus 15y, which was the whole point, and 23 times 3, which is 69. So we're going to write those equations again next to each other, so we can do our simultaneous equation magic on them. So with simultaneous equations, we're working down the page. So we put these little circles in to show the direction that we're working. And we're either going to add or subtract. And to find out which, we look at the signs before the coefficients we made the same, so before the 15y's. And if they are both the same, then we are going to subtract. If they are both different, we are going to add. So the S in same is the S in subtract, the D in different is the D in add. Well, you can see here that they are both the same, they're both pluses, so we're going to subtract. So we're going to subtract going downwards, and we've got 15x take away 12x, which is 3x. 15y take away 15y, which is nothing, which is good, that's the whole point. And we've got 75 take away 69, which is 6. Is it 6? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to then solve that. So we're going to divide by 3 both sides to get what x equals. And so x equals 2. Now that's only half the battle, because we need to find out what y equals. So we're going to substitute that into the first equation. And so we've got 3 times 2 plus 3y equals 15. Now 3 times 2 is 6, so we're going to take away 6 both sides. So we've got 3y equals 9, and we're going to divide both sides by 3, so y equals 3. And we can check that by substituting it into the second equation, so 4 times 2 plus 5 times 3, and that does equal 23. So we're asked to find the bearing of Freetown from Gamley, so that is this angle here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to find this angle, and this will obviously be 90 degrees because the hiker walked west, and it's against the west line and the north line, so it's definitely 90 degrees. So we can work out what the bearing is if we know that angle inside the triangle. So we're going to start by labelling the sides. Well, we've got a 90 degrees here, we've got hypotenuse here, we've got the adjacent here next to the angle, and we've got the opposite, which is across from the marked angle. Here we're not using the hypotenuse, so we can cross that out. And we can do our SOHCAHTOA. And the only one that doesn't have the hypotenuse is TOA. And so we're doing tan x equals the opposite, which is 49 over 98. Get our lines in. And we're going to do the inverse tan to both sides. So we get x equals, and we do inverse tan, which is 26.565, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we know that the whole of the way around up until this point is 270 because we've got this 90 degree left. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to work out the bearing. So bearing, we're just going to do 270, take away the 26.565, blah, blah, blah. And that gives us 243.434, blah, blah, blah. It says it wants it to the nearest whole number, so that's going to be 243. So the angle of elevation is when you are looking horizontally, like here. It's the angle that you have to look up to see something, so that castle. So this is the angle of elevation here, which I'm just going to call x. And we've got a right angle triangle here where we have two lengths and we're looking for an angle, so we're going to be using trigonometry. So we're just going to label this up. So we've got the opposite here, adjacent to here. We don't need the hypotenuse at all, so get rid of that. Let's just put our SOHCAHTOA in. So we've crossed out the hypotenuse, so it won't be sine or cos, it will be tan. So it will be tan x is equal to the opposite, which is 49 over 98. Get our lines in. And we're going to do the inverse tan of both sides. And so the inverse tan of 49 over 98 is 26.565, etc. And it says it wanted the nearest whole number, so that will be 27 degrees. So we're asked to find 3a minus 2b. So let's work out 3a first. 3a is going to be the top times 3 and the bottom times 3. So the top times 3 is 9, bottom times 3 is 6. Then we're going to work out what 2b is. Again, times the top by 2, times the bottom by 2. And so 3a take away 2b is going to be 3a, which is 9 at the top, take away, and then the 2b, which is minus 2. And then the bottom will be 6, take away, minus 4. And so that's going to be 9 plus 2, which is 11. 6 plus 4, which is 10. So the vector is going to be 11 at the top, 10 at the bottom. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.